All right, welcome everyone back to Eagles Power Hour, your Eastern Washington affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I'm your host, Patrick Frakes. We got a little bit later in the week recap because the Eagles are on bye this week, so we don't have a game to preview this weekend. Eagles are getting some much needed rest as they are heading into the toughest stretch of schedule. I mean, including last 2 weeks, really. Eagles got Sac State, Idaho, Davis, and Montana State all back to back to back to back. So, going to be a tough stretch of the schedule, but we're talking about this Montana loss. This was a hell of a game, crazy game. And by the way, Eagles Power Hour sponsored by Walk On Apparel. Almost forgot to say that. This Montana game, it was frustrating, and as a 1-3 team coming in now 1-4, you might kind of think like there might be a little bit of a moral victory, you know, bringing a top 10 team to the brink here like that, like probably should have won this game. And I really do think that, I don't know, but rewatching this game, it felt like we had missed opportunities that led to us losing this game, particularly, I mean, defensively obviously was the problem. This was a 52-49 game, and this game was just no defense, some old school Big Sky shootout. Whoever had the ball last was going to win this game, and it was one of those types of games that, I mean, you know, Eastern, it was kind of a tale of two halves. The first half, Eastern really didn't execute great offensively and defensively, just didn't look good at all. And then the second half, Eastern made a few adjustments to an extent. And I don't know. I thought I actually was happy with some of the adjustments we made offensively. Defensively, I felt like we just I don't know. Defensively, I just felt like we weren't really prepared well. To be completely honest, man, and it was tough. This game was, I think, thematically, this game was frustrating if you're an Eagle fan because you can clearly see that the talent is there. Like you could clearly see we're not just getting dominated by this Grizz team talent wise. It's not like they just have so much better athletes. It's not like they have so much bigger guys. Like Eastern has the Jimmies and Joes to be a pretty damn good team. I think there's a few key positions that the talent is down a little bit, and Eastern's more of a bottom tier Big Sky school in terms of like some of the there's certain position groups that for sure haven't performed to the level that they can, but I just feel like the talent is there. Like the Jimmies and Joes is not the problem right now. That has not been the issue with this Eastern squad. I don't see like at the athletes being the reason that we're not a better team right now. And this came to show, like this Eagle team just fought and clawed in that fourth quarter to get back in this game, and we were one or two stops away from this being a win, being an amazing win. Well, probably one of the biggest. I mean, I would say one of the biggest wins of program history or anything like that, but it feels like one of the biggest wins in a period of time where Eastern just has been down. 2 or 3 years now. Beating Montana after so much frustration and stuff would really be nice, especially with Coach Best's contract situation and kind of looking at the future, looking like, hey, man, he might not be here next year. It really was an emotional game after the fact, getting so close and just not quite being able to get over the edge and pull off the win, pull off the upset. I mean, Eastern was 16.5 point underdogs. Like, I thought Eastern was going to lose this game. I think everyone almost in the country picked Eastern to lose this game. But and a lot of people thought Eastern was going to get blown out. Shoot, I thought Eastern was going to get blown out. And man, these kids fought. This is a 31-14 game at halftime, and these dudes, I mean, shoot, man, they just flipped the switch in that fourth quarter. Even in the third quarter, defensively, I mean, Eastern made some big time adjustments, and man, it's just bittersweet. It's good to see then be able to fight and then be able to play in these big games. It's not just you're not getting outclassed, but it's bittersweet because it feels like this Eastern team has so much more potential than they're really tapping into, and that's kind of the bitter part of this. Like just thematically, that's some of the big picture things that I came home with from this game after rewatching it a couple times. But getting more into kind of the nitty gritty of it, let's go more of a thematical framing. What went well, what went bad, type of situation. Um, and I'm just gonna hit the what went well. I'll hit the what went bad first. Get the bad news out of the way. Obviously, it was the defense. Um, Eastern defensively just had a horrible outing, man, and it has been now. I believe this is 4 games in a row giving up 250 plus yards on the ground. And I don't know. I to me, it doesn't feel like Eastern is necessarily. I mean, there's definitely moments where Eastern is just getting blown off the ball, but it is nowhere near to the level of years in the past where Eastern's just interior, the front four just wasn't up to the task to match up with big offensive lines in the Big Sky and or a Missouri Valley team that came over for the playoffs or what have you. That doesn't feel like what's going on to me. When you watch this game closely, at least in the rushing game, I just this is an opinion thing. I'm sick of the stunting. Um, Eastern's kind of running a 4-2, like kind of a 3-3-5 type of defense a little bit, where they really like to stunt their middle two D tackles whenever they, usually it's a 4-man front. It's kind of a 3-3-5, 4-2-5 kind of hybrid depending on the personnel and stuff. I'm not sure what the actual name or the label of the defense would be called, but typically you have 2 defensive tackles and then 1 or 2 defensive ends. One of them's on the line, one of them's off the line, kind of floating around, being semi a spy. Sometimes he passes, just whatever. And and the linebackers are part of the twist too. I have not been a big fan of the twisting, turning, and blitzing that Eastern has been doing. When I watched this game back, I felt like when we blitzed, we were not as good of a defense. We were constantly out of position. When we blitz, the secondary is, when we blitz a linebacker on a twist, where our right side linebacker is going to blitz the left side B gap, which is what happened on the long Eli Gilman run. Our linebacker vacates that spot, and it's supposed to be, if it is a run, it is supposed to be filled by the safety. In that case, it would have been Derek Ganter. The safety is just slower getting there because now he has to worry about getting beat over the top because we're blitzing. So he's a little slow getting there. He gets to the hole and he just gets blown up by a receiver, lead blocking, and touchdown. It just, I don't know. I personally have felt like the twisting and the blitzing has just been a net negative for this Eagle defense. And initially I was excited about it. I thought it'd be really really good. I thought it would help kind of hide some of the potentially deficiencies by the linebackers and the front four that hasn't necessarily performed to the level it can. But I don't know. To me, it almost gets you caught in the middle where I mean, with the blitzing, we weren't necessarily getting crazy pressure with the guys that were blitzing anyways. To me, it felt more like the guys that were able to get pressure were our front four guys, especially I mean, I think our only sack, one of the sacks of the game came from a little bit of edge pressure from our nickelback, but I just feel like Eastern has been countered by the blitz more than it's been helped by the blitz, in the sense that, like, this was my biggest gripe with our game plan in this game is I mean almost every single third down in this game, Eastern brought a linebacker on the blitz. Montana threw a slant right behind a variety of slant. They ran a few different versions of a slant, which was creative and good coaching by whatever was it Brent Peace? I don't remember their offensive coordinator's name. I mean, it's good scheming, good coaching, something they saw on tape, and obviously they saw that and they're like, oh, okay, Eastern's gonna just blitz us every third down. Let's just throw a short little slant, and it just killed us on third down. A third and medium, that was the recipe for them. And I mean, I was screaming it from the stands. Do not blitz Cohen. When we blitz Cohen, they just run a slant right behind it, and on our safety slash corner just doesn't have a chance to get there. And that happened, I believe it happened 4 or 5 times in this game. Extending drives when we could have had at least a linebacker in position to at least make a play on the ball or take that away and force Fife to actually go through a progression, which he didn't necessarily do amazing in this game. Like when you watch this game back, yes, Fife had what? Let's look, 364 total passing yards. He had a good game. My When I say that, I mean he was a lot of his yards did not come off of going through progression. Hey, one, two, three, three's there, go. It was more of one, oh, he's there, go. It was a lot of his first read was there. I mean, that was my thought when I watched it. I felt like he didn't really go through progressions a ton, and he just kind of his first read was there. If it wasn't, he ran. That was kind of what I saw, and like kind of what was what I saw when I watched it back. He went through progressions a few times, and you got to tip your cap to Logan Fife. He played a good game, but it was frustrating that we I just felt like we should have made him read defenses more rather than just make it a quick, oh, blitz, throw it behind it, first down. Which is, I mean, they just killed us on that. We even with little swing routes to Osman out of the backfield, they just absolutely killed us when we blitzed. And it sucks because I mean that was something I was excited about coming into the year. I thought it would be cool. I thought we had the athletes to make it work. We aren't getting home fast enough for that style of defense to work, in my opinion. And in the second half, I thought we started to pump the brakes on the blitzing a little bit and kind of play them more straight up, play some more coverage, and let trust our guys on the back end to make some plays. And I mean, they did. Uh, I mean, they held Montana to 7 points in the third quarter. I felt like they actually did a semi decent job in the second half. I mean, in the fourth quarter, not necessarily, but not on third down. I mean, on third downs, we still blitzed and still got hurt, but I felt like we played better a little bit defensively in the second half, but we just couldn't come up with quite the right stop. But when we went to more base playing coverage type stuff, I felt like this Eagle defense just performed better overall. They just looked better. They looked like they belonged. They made some stops, and man, I just that's how I feel. I think moving forward, I think Eastern just really needs to chill with the blitzing defensively. And another minor thing. I mean, I just to me, I feel like Eastern got totally out schemed in the first half, and especially on money down, like the money third and fourth down, we just got absolutely owned by Montana. Their coaching staff just totally out schemed us. I that when is that going to change? Third downs, fourth downs have just been Eastern's kryptonite the last 2-3 years, and I don't know how that gets better unless some things change coaching wise, some adjustments are made, and I two fourth down, they went for it twice on fourth and two or shorter. Both times they ran play action pass, both times touchdowns. You think about even some of the third down. I mean, third down, they're just running slants. It's not like super. It wasn't super. I mean, they didn't run it on third and short or fourth and short once, if I'm remembering right. Like it just they totally out schemed us, and that especially in the first half, but throughout the game in general. The first half, I felt it was just worse. Um, what went well in this game? Transitioning to what went well. Uh, you know, I think the easy answer is the offense overall went well, but more specifically for me, dude, Eastern's offensive line dominated this game. Um, at least on that side of the ball. If you watch this game back, some of the push that Eastern was able to get in this game was incredible. And there's one definitely legitimate gripe is, hey, Riley Wilson, their All-American linebacker slash defensive end, didn't play in the first half. But I mean, dude, Eastern was even able to run the ball pretty well in that second half too. I mean, not quite to the clip that they were in the first half, just because Riley Wilson, I mean, he makes an impact. He takes up two blockers a lot of the time. But I mean, shoot, dude, that dude he is a baller. I mean, he rubs me the wrong way sometimes when he, drives a quarterback into the ground. But dude, that guy, he is a hell of a football player, and he's probably one of the best players in the entire Big Sky. And I felt like our offensive line had one of their best overall games all year. I mean that domination up front in the run game particularly was incredible. And I wanted to give a huge shout out to those guys because I mean they're dealing with they got a starter out, but it's a senior laden group that sometimes I feel like has gotten not quite as much love as they deserve this year. I feel like they have played their asses off this year. And I just personally, I'd love to see them get leaned on more in the game plan. I really hate seeing 3 and outs where it's 3 passes. I think this Eagle run game is a lot better than people realize. And I mean, particularly with Malik Dotson in there, I mean, it is rare that they do not pick up 5 yards, 4 or 5 yards, with Dotson in there especially. Riley Wilson snuffed one out in this game, and Tuna had one bad run, but I think typically that happens when Tuna, especially, tries to bounce things outside that just aren't there to bounce outside. I think Tuna in the first 2 weeks, he did a better job being north and south rather than trying to cut outside and make things out of nothing. And he kind of reverted back to older Tuna the last 2 weeks and this week a little bit. He looked better in this game. But I thought Malik Dotson ran his ass off in this game. I thought Jared Taylor only had what? I think Jared Taylor only had 2 rushes. One of them being that ridiculous touchdown run where he just ran 40 yards, broke a bunch of tackles, and somehow ended up in the end zone for 48-yard touchdown. 2 rushes, 51 yards, long 48. Yeah. So, Jared Taylor didn't get used quite as much. I mean, he came in for 1 or 2 drives, and I mean, he had one nice completion to Chisholm. I honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Taylor more as a passer, which sounds kind of weird, but I think he throws a more catchable deep ball than Kikoa. Kind of weirdly, Kikoa kind of throws a laser. Jared Taylor throws more of a little bit of a duck, but it's more of an arced ball that is just more catchable for a guy like Chisholm to just go up and get it. But then again, we don't really have like a ball, like a possession receiver. Nolan would kind of be that guy you would think, but he's had a little bit of the dropsies this year. He had a number of drops in this game again, and we don't really have a guy with the ball skills that just goes up, plucks it out of the air, and you know moves on. I think there's some of those guys coming up that are young, but we don't really have that guy right now. And so I get why Kikoa is, still primary. And I mean, shoot, dude, that fourth quarter, Kikoa showed the promise that, we've been waiting to see since that. I mean, since the Monmouth game. But before that, I mean, Cal Poly maybe a little bit, but with the rain, it wasn't quite as explosive through the air. I mean, Kikoa really showed transitioning to another thing though. Like Kikoa looked pretty damn good, and in the first half, he just wasn't completely there. Missed a couple of throws, and I mean those intermediate throws, man, he still is just slightly off. He really likes to throw just absolute lasers, and it makes it tough for guys to go catch a 50-50 ball or guys to catch. So if it's a little bit overthrown, with more of a lofty pass, you can kind of try to course correct and at least give yourself a chance. Sometimes that just doesn't happen with Kiko when he ever throws balls. It's just kind of a laser straight over your head and you have no shot. And you know, he had a tough first half, second half, man, especially in that fourth quarter when you let Kikoa cook, that dude makes plays. He gives you flashes of EB3, who was there in attendance. I gave him a fist bump before the game. It was cool. But um you see the flashes from Kikoa. Like he could be a really, really good player in this offense. He just, I feel like one, he has to be given the chance to do it, and two, he just has to make the plays down the field, which I don't know. I feel like he's better off schedule, anyways. And you never really get the off schedule plays when you're running RPOs all the time, like we did the first couple weeks. I feel like the RPOs were kind of dialed down a little bit this week, and it was nice. I liked it. I thought it was. I don't know. RPOs are a great thing, but I think they get you into places that you're half run, half pass, and if it makes it so you can't really take full advantage of either. In the run game, hey, your linemen have to be a tick slower than typical because if they're downfield and you actually pull and throw it, it's penalty. Well, in the pass game, you're really only giving your quarterback one read, and then he has to get the ball out quick or he has to run. And there's a lot of good things, but I kind of like that. It seemed like we didn't lean into the RPOs quite as crazy as sometimes we do, and honestly, I think that's a net positive for this offense, and I think that's part of why we saw a lot of success. But overall, we're going over the box score really quick for the offense. Excuse me, Kikoa 22 for 38, 265 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air. Geez, he had one hell of a game. One sack that was way earlier in the game. On the ground, Kikoa had 11 rushes, 69 yards. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground, 6 total touchdowns for Kikoa in this game. Wow. Malik Dotson rushed 14 times for 77 yards. Tuna Altier 12 times for 74 yards. Jared Taylor had the 2 rushes for 51 yards. That all totals up to 271 yards in 39 attempts. I mean, again, we're right around that 50-50, which I think it's a blessing and a curse. But, the Eagle offense was effective in this game. They were able to move the ball. They were able to score touchdowns. In the first half, I felt like, some of the play calling wasn't quite there. I feel like we would dominate the drive on the ground, and then 3 quick passes in, all of a sudden we're off the field. That happened, I think, 2 or 3 times in that first half. And so, that was frustrating. But as a overall, I thought that this was a good Eagle offensive output. This is probably their best offensive output and best production that we've seen this year since Monmouth. I think it was honestly a better. I mean, we scored more points than Monmouth. I feel like we were more complete than the Monmouth game. We were better down the field than the Monmouth game, and this is a better defense than Monmouth. So, very positive thing there. Moving forward, looks like the Eagle offense might have figured some things out that they had been missing the last 3 weeks. But hey, that's to be seen. We're playing. I mean, honestly, I think all the 4 next opponents might all be better than Montana. There's a chance that they're all better teams than Montana. So, just putting it out there. Eagles got to step it up if they want to win some of these games, especially. I mean, defensively, you know, defense has to improve. I think there's a recipe to improve it. I mean, just play some more base defense. I really think that's a recipe to be a little bit better. I think that's the recipe to be a little bit better. Generally, I think it gives us a better chance to be in position as a linebacking core. I think it gives us a better position to let our front 4 go make plays and not rely on stunts and crazy BS to get free, which I don't think they necessarily need, especially with guys like Matthew Brown. Hopefully, Jacob Newsom will be back soon. He was on the sideline running around. Didn't have pads on or anything, but he looks like he's getting healthy. I don't know if he'll be back this, after the bye week. I really would love it if he could be. But Maybe I'll keep an eye on that when I walk by practice, as I do sometimes when I'm done with my school schedule. But and one thing that I mean, let's hit on the special teams. I almost never talk about the special teams. This was another thing that went well in this game, dude. The special teams were awesome. Aside from a missed field goal, I mean, dude, the special teams were excellent in this game. Michael Wortham had a ton of return yards. I wonder if I can see it here. Let me try to find the return yards. Michael Wortham. He had 6 returns, 184 yards. He had a long of 46. He was setting Eastern up with short fields all throughout that second half, especially. I thought Michael Wortham had probably his best game returning. He had one bad return, but probably his best in terms of consistency, one of his best returning games so far this year. The punt return game still hasn't quite been there, but Wortham looked good in the kick return game. We had a surprise onside kick that worked against them. I mean, dude, that was awesome. I always love out special teaming Bobby Houck. It's always my favorite. Um, you know, Junior Bergen only saw the ball once on kickoff. He had a 20-yard return. It was a good return, but that dude, if you can hold him to a 20-yard return, good. Junior Bergen is, all-American kick returner. Typically, you do not want to kick to him ever. So the fact that he touched the ball was a little scary. I was sitting there, oh no, oh no, oh no, in the stands. But mid tackle, made a good play. And dude, Landon Ogles had a pretty damn good game. He had a 67-yard or 66-yard punt in this game. The pin Montana back deep. He only punted 3 times in this game. Well, pretty damn good. He had one touchback, which wasn't quite, it wasn't ideal. I think we punted from the plus like 45 or something like that, and he booted it and it went into the end zone. But overall, dude, Landon Ogles has been pretty damn good. I think he's a little bit of a he has a cannon. He just doesn't quite know where it's going every time. But shoot, he almost drew us a 15-yarder. I mean, he was outside of the tackle box, which is a rule that I didn't know. If a punter is outside of the tackle box, they cannot be roughed. So he got hit after a punt. They threw the flag, then they picked it up because he was outside the tackle box. Whatever. Interesting rule. Thought that was kind of cool. Soren McKee missed a field goal. That was tough. I mean, Montana missed a field goal too. It was a 40-yard field goal. I'm not too. I mean, you hate to see missed field goals, especially in a 3-point loss. But to me, that didn't feel like what lost us the game. To me, anyways, I thought Eastern had more opportunities. I mean, we turned the ball over on downs one time, at least one time. It might have been more than that, actually. Let me go check that. Turn the ball over on down. There's some missed opportunities. Let's see. Trying to find it. 4th down conversion. Yeah, 0 of 1 for Eastern. 3rd down, it was honestly one of our better games executing on 3rd down and offense, 9 of 14, which was good. But yeah, man. Overall, dude, I wasn't sad after this game. You typically would be really, really hurt and heartbroken after losing to the Grizz in this kind of fashion. But dude, honestly, coming in with the expectations I did, I was pretty happy to see Eastern even keep it pretty close. But I come out of this bittersweet, just feeling like, man, we're so close, dude. Like this Eagle team is a few coaching decisions, a few schematical changes, a little bit better preparation away from being probably. I mean, shit, dude, we lost 3 games by one score. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. 3 one possession losses. And you look at last year, that was kind of what we pointed to as the promise looking towards this year. Hey, if we could flip some of those games to wins, this Eagle team has a chance to be pretty good. Well, we haven't been off to a great start, but I mean, dude, Eastern has the talent to hang with any of these teams coming up this year. Sac State just got their asses kicked by Northern Arizona. Sac State is our next opponent. We'll talk about them more, but that's a game that Eastern can play in. Sac State's definitely going to be the better team, but dude, that's a game that is it's possible to go in there and give them one hell of a game. UC Davis at home. UC Davis has been a team that we've had their number. UC Davis is a team with some O-line issues. UC Davis is not a perfect team. You look at Idaho. Dude, Idaho has some serious quarterback issues right now. Their offense has not been good. They're going to run the hell out of the ball, which is scary if you're an Eastern fan. But, the Montana State. Montana State has shown a little bit of weakness in the secondary. I mean, Montana State's probably the one that is the most complete, but generally at home, at least, Eastern has played Montana State pretty tight, even when we weren't a very good team and they were a really good team. So, there's an angle in every game towards the end of this year. Eastern has the talent to be in every single game the rest of this year. I think right now it's more about, hey, let's send out the seniors well. But, dude, we have to, like, we have to, we have to continue to support this team. Like, wow, I didn't even mention some of the big news. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But I feel like this team is so close, and I feel like this team could really pull out some fun wins. We got to keep supporting these kids, dude. Get out to the Davis game, get out to the Montana State game, get out to the Idaho State game. They're all three of them are good teams. Should all be good games. If things go semi well, I think Eastern will be able to pick off one or two of those games. I think Eastern, at least one of those games, Eastern should be able to pick off. Probably should be able to pick off two. Will they? I don't know, but it's kind of where we're at right now. But that we'll call that good for the recap, Montana recap. A little bit of rambling, but general moral of the story: Eastern is. I mean, they gave up another 300 and something yards per. 300 plus yards on the ground, 300 plus yards through the air, 700 yards offense for Montana. No bueno. Defense was bad. Offense was pretty good. But generally, I really do feel like there's a lot of things that we could do scheme-wise that could set our players up in a better position than they were this week. Moving forward, we're going to talk about Walk On Apparel. We have a word from Walk On Apparel, our sponsor. Eagles Power Hour is sponsored by Walk On Apparel. Walk On Apparel focuses on capturing Eastern's culture and traditions in apparel designs that are as different as they are affordable. Plus, 10% of the profit from every single sale gets donated right back to the Eagle Athletic Fund. That's a win for you and your alma mater. EPH listeners get 10% off Eastern gear at checkout using code EPH10. That's EPH10. New designs drop throughout the season, so check out walkon-apparel.com or follow them on Twitter and Instagram to see what's dropping next. Walk-on-apparel, up the fans. Check it out. They got some great stuff. I don't have my Walk On Apparel on right now, but I love my Walk On Apparel stuff. I'll definitely be pointing it out when I'm wearing it on the podcast. But we do have some news that I don't think I've talked about on the podcast yet, which is really exciting, guys. The athletic department recently announced that they have a $6 million saved up, $6 million in the bank towards a $13 million goal for a $25 million renovation of Roos Field. And let me see if I could pull up the spokesman article really quick on the fly here, producing in public. But this is super exciting news because, Eastern has had, renderings and stadium renovation plans and hopes. I think this is the third time that they've kind of announced something. But, this time it feels like things are a little bit more ironed out. And, Eastern, the last time Eastern was trying to do a renovation, Eastern needed all $25 million for that $25 million renovation up front. They needed to have it before they started. This time, the school, the president, the board of trustees are willing to finance the second half of the stadium, which it really, I think it gives Eastern a lot better of a shot to actually get things rolling, get the ball rolling, get it started. I feel like last time we were kind of hampered by COVID, obviously, but let's see if I can share my screen really quick. This is super exciting news. So Eastern, like I mentioned, Eastern has $6 million already saved in the bank towards our $13 million goal. Once we can reach 13 million, then I believe that's when shovels will hit the ground, construction will start, and it's not like a crazy, super insane renovation. Let's see, there it is. There, this is the proposed kind of rendering of the renovation. Most of the work is going to be done on this away sideline. They're going to replace the little dinky bleachers there, put in a new, smaller grandstand, put in a new press box, more suites, more media stuff, a nice big eagle sign, make that away sideline much more like a college football stadium. On the home sideline, they're going to add a bunch more premium seats, some more VIP stuff, more nice, expensive seats, and overall just kind of invest in the stadium, make it look a little bit nicer, uh, which is super exciting news. Sorry, I had a minor interruption there, but this is exciting news, guys. Like the school, the president, and the board of trustees are fully committed to athletics. Athletics just replaced the floor in Roos Court. First time that's been done I think since it's been installed in like the 70s. Um, they just replaced the turf that 2019 that would have been. Like the school is willing to invest in the program and is willing to, you know, is on board with, because they're limited with what they can do, like with state fund money, but they're willing they're really willing to sign off on things and really support. They see the value of athletics, at the school, which is, I think, a great sign and great thing, especially with all this stupid Eastern's dropping to D2. Eastern's having big money problems, dude. We're fine. Eastern is fine. Eastern is never going to be, the top budget in the big sky, but we are fine for where we're at. We're going to be okay. But moral of the story, guys, Eastern is halfway to, finally getting some stadium renovations. Obviously, hey, the track's still there. That's something that a lot of us were upset about, but it would have cost $5 million by itself to remove and replace the track. And you know, I, it would be nice, but again, if you remove the track, now you probably have to move, the super expensive scoreboard. You have to move a number of different things, and so, um, it's kind of frustrating. But the track's probably there to stay. The reality of it is the track's there to stay, which is, I mean, fine with me. Fine with me. I'd rather have this that is proposed right now than what we have right now. And so that's what we got to kind of look forward to. But long story short, man, Eastern is halfway to finally renovating the stadium, and all they need is money. I mean, all they need is money. We got to support this program with the monies. Hey, I'm a college student, dude. I don't have the money for that. But hey, if you're in a place to and you love this university, get the pocketbooks out, donate. Let's get this thing built, guys. This is a huge deal. Right now people are upset with the results on the field. Look at our facilities, guys. Like we're not on the same level as our Big Sky peers right now, and to get on that same level, we have to invest. And so, I think that's kind of where we're at as a program right now. So, um, yeah, that's what we got for the stadium and all that fun news. Go check it out on the Spokesman Review. I'm sure everyone's heard about it as of now. I just figured I quickly mention it. We gotta support this program. We gotta donate. We gotta raise those funds, because that's how we get things like this built, and we don't have to see the money dry up and start another stadium renovation project again in 5-10 years. uh, let's get this thing done, guys. Let's get this thing renovated. Let's finally get the stadium looking pretty good. Um, yeah, that's all we got for that. Transitioning to, we're gonna have an abbreviated Patty's picks this week, because I mean this episode's already 40 minutes long, and typically I'm not talking about the stadium stuff for 10 minutes, so a little bit of an abbreviated Patty's picks this week, especially with Eastern on the bye and another top team, Sac State, on the bye. Uh, Looking at, let's first off, the boring one, Cal Poly is hosting Idaho State. Idaho State last week put a little bit of a scare into Montana State, ended up losing that game anyways, but They gave them a little bit of a scare. Idaho State looked a little bit better than we maybe expected, but their offensive line and quarterback play didn't look very good. Cal Poly last week, hey, they got a win. They beat Northern Colorado. Paul Wolf is showing a little bit of promise down there, but ultimately, I think Idaho State is just a much better team than Cal Poly. Idaho State's showed a lot more promise than Cal Poly on the season this year. In my opinion, I think Idaho State wins this one by a couple scores, despite Cal Poly coming in with a little bit of momentum after a win, which is kind of weird to say. But yeah, I think that's what happens with the Idaho State game. Next boring one. UC Davis goes to Portland State. UC Davis, kind of a letdown spot for Davis right here. Let's hit the Portland State side first. Portland State's coming off of getting their asses kicked in Chattanooga, Tennessee by a decent, a good SoCon team, a top 25 team, but they got their butts kicked. They were down I believe they're down 38-14 at one point in this game. In their game, wasn't really close. The final score made it look a little bit closer than it was, but nonetheless, UC Davis coming off probably one of the biggest wins in program history, beating top five Idaho. Uh, Idaho at home. Idaho Idaho probably should have won this game. They didn't elect to kick field goals twice and turn the ball over on downs twice. That cost them, leave 6 to 9 points on the board. That kind of feels like Idaho gave that one away a little bit. And Davis, shoot, Miles Hastings played his ass off in that game. Got to tip your cap to Miles Hastings. He has looked damn good, to be honest, this year, which has been impressive. And Davis finished drives finally. Davis has struggled finishing drives so far this year. And guess what, guys? There is there's light on the horizon because Eastern does not have the worst defense in the conference. Portland State has the worst defense statistically in the conference, and they're playing a pretty good offense in Davis. I think Davis, they might come out of the gates a little slow with the letdown spot, but they'll cruise to a pretty comfortable victory. Something in the 3-4 score range. At the end of it, I think Portland State might put up a few points, but it won't be enough. Let's see. What's our next one? Ooh, Northern Colorado goes to Montana State. Montana State by a million. Montana State's good. Northern Colorado is really bad. That's all I'm going to give for that one. Probably the most interesting two matchups here next. Weber State goes to Montana. Weber State's been disappointing this year. Offensively, they just haven't really found their identity. It feels like they're really limiting Richie Munoz and what they're allowing him to do. Kind of like some of my frustrations with how Eastern was handling Kikoa for a few weeks there. But they don't have the offensive line that Eastern has, and they're not quite able to run the ball as effectively, but they do have a really good running back in the Devon Bankston. Montana, hey, we just saw Montana. We just talked about Montana a bunch. Montana's a decent offense. Their defense has been kind of questionable. They're a good team. They're absolutely a good team, but they're not the Montana of 2023 in terms of the defensive power and, the offensive explosiveness necessarily. Don't know who's going to start for Montana again. Probably going to be Fife, but, you got to think Ayat. It's tough to lose your job to injury. I think Montana's the better team, but Weber State's 2-3. They've lost to two kind of meh to good Southland Conference teams that they shouldn't have lost to. They gave those games away. And so I really think Weber State has the juice to potentially be a little bit of a spoiler here and give Montana that weird in-conference loss that they seem to always have. But I think I gotta pick Montana. Unfortunately, I had such a poor showing last week that on Patty's picks, I went 2-5 last week. I think I gotta pick Montana here. I think Montana will win it. Kind of a frisky, close game. I think Weber's defense is probably the best unit they've played since North Dakota. And if Montana tries to throw the ball on Weber State, they're gonna have problems. Fife or whoever plays quarterback is gonna be under pressure and probably gonna get sacked 3 to 4 times. So I think Weber State will keep it close. I just don't know if they're gonna be able to move the ball well enough to keep up necessarily. I think it's a close, kind of lower scoring game, and Montana wins by, I don't know, 10. Uh, and this is the I think the most interesting game personally. Northern Arizona, who's fresh off of just absolutely kicking Sac State's ass at home, forced a bunch of turnovers, sacked Carson Conklin multiple times, played their asses off, really just handed it to Sac State. I could not believe how much of an ass whooping that game was. They're traveling to Idaho, who just dropped a close one to Davis. Kind of felt like they gave it away. Idaho is down to their third string quarterback, probably quarterback Jack Wagner, who had started the last couple weeks. Is dealing with a shoulder injury, same Sterling shoulder. I think it's just a pain tolerance thing. But Nick Joseph, the third string, maybe fourth string, probably the third string, came into the game and actually, I mean, he kind of sparked a little bit of a comeback for Idaho, who was down. I believe they're down 2 touchdowns late. Kind of sparked the comeback, got them within 2 points. Didn't get the 2 point conversion, didn't get the onside kick. Then Davis kneeled it out, but um, I don't. Joseph looked good. I think the Davis, or excuse me, the Idaho offense just looked a little bit better with Joseph under center. I've got to think he might start this game. Uh, but Idaho's going to want to run the ball, and the relative weakness of this NAU defense is the rushing defense. Their secondary has been one of the best. Statistically, their secondary and pass defense has been one of the best units in the whole conference. When you look at just general statistical numbers. They're really good at getting pressure. This NAU front's really good at getting pressure, which could become a problem for Idaho. But the fact that they haven't stopped the run quite as effectively, I think bodes well for Idaho's chances. I think Idaho's going to really lean on the run, try to stay ahead of the chains throughout the game. And, I think that's where we're going to go. Hopefully, I mean, hopefully. I was a student there, so I do root for Idaho, guys. But I think Idaho will be able to keep themselves in good positions offensively, stay ahead of the chains with the run game. I think defensively, their defense is so damn good. I think they completely just shut out the NAU run game, which is kind of what they want to do offensively. I think they're going to force NAU into a lot of third and longs, which will allow Idaho's pass rush to get home, maybe a couple turnovers. If Idaho takes care of the ball, I think they win this game. I think Idaho cruises to like a 2-score game. They'll force a turnover or two, and they're gonna have a big ass crowd. This is their homecoming. I think Idaho wins this game by a few scores, but should be. I think it'll be a fun game for at least a half, but we'll see. But that will just about do it here for Eagles Power Hour, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Kind of a weird rushed episode this week. School is busy, which is, I'm sure, news to you guys, but the college is kind of busy. So haven't had quite as much time to record. I got the flu right after the Montana game, got home, started not feeling very good. And so I was like 2 or 3 days behind on all of my responsibilities just because I was for 2 days just up in bed trying to get better. So after I got some shots from the Tubbs guys, but I wasn't doing too hot Saturday night, Saturday night, and all of Sunday. So, but we're back. We're feeling a little better, and hey, moving forward, hoping that Eags get healthy over the bye week. Hoping the Eags get some good preparation done. Hopefully, they are well prepared for the Sac State team, which is also going to be pretty well prepared. But we'll preview that next week. Hopefully, midweek, maybe Thursday, something like that. Gonna have to give me some time to work some things out. But yeah, man. That's about it for this week's episode, guys. Thank you to Walk on Apparel, as always, for sponsoring us. And that's all we got, guys. Hell of an effort this week from the Eagles, but falling short. 1-4, 3 one-possession losses. It's tough, guys, but hey, there's still some promise. There's still some promise. Still some fun. It's football. Support these guys and get out to Roos this year. But yeah, 3 more home games, guys. Get out to those games. Thanks everyone for listening, and go Eags.